Feral bit of poly aftertouch going on there, which is one of the key things of this new synth, which is actually pretty nice. That's the patch number 1 actually, which is brave of them to go for that sort of concept of not making it, you know, the all singing and dancing and focusing on the expression. So it's really good for them. So far, I'm quite liking the sound of this. I mean, it's a bit early days. I've only had it a short while. I know some people have had it longer than me. Luke Pop's got a 50-minute epic where he covers everything, which is pretty cool. Don't think the ribbon's doing anything on this one. By the looks of it, let's have a look. Mod Matrix. Nope, doesn't look like it. I've got the chat room of both YouTube and IRC behind me, so if you've got any questions, I'll see if I can answer them. Let's have a look. Yeah, ASM, Ashen Sound Machines, are essentially the parent company of this is Modeli, which is a long-standing Chinese manufacturer. They make a lot of OEM stuff for other people, and they've just formed their own company because they're good at making this stuff. They know how to do it cost effectively. They do it for other people, and now they've sort of formed a new company, and they've got Glenn Darcy is probably the most recognisable name, though there are others in the team. Touch, and there's tons of reverb there, isn't there? So yeah, that's patch 1. Sequencer, no, there is not a sequencer, but there is an arpeggiator. Let's see if I can find a sort of something a bit more. Let's have a look. Something. Yeah, if I turn that on, we've got this ratcheting. I'll set the chance of the ratcheting. Let's see what happens if I do this. So you get this sort of randomization. I explain I haven't really done a whole load of stuff. Can you hear my voice all right? I'm just, because this is a slightly new setup to me, and I'm looking around to see whether is this desktop version polyphonic aftertouch in some way? I believe so. I think it responds to it, and it's got a set of pads, and I think they have. We've got one of those. I haven't taken it out of the box yet because I've been concentrating on this, but we've got one of those. I believe it does have polyphonic aftertouch on the pads, which are assignable. Let's have a look. Why does everyone so? Yep, Kevin Flux Pierce, he's there as well. He had a lot to do with this, I believe, and he can probably answer more of your technical stuff, and he's in the chat room on YouTube. 8 voice, right, let's see. The other thing that we've got is at each patch level there are these knobs which also double as edit kind of parameters for any of these many modules. Also can be assignable macros, which are totally variable, and it looks like you can name them all however you want as well. So you've got the ability to create these contextual macros for each patch, and you notice that these, I don't know if you could tell here, but the LEDs kind of change colour, and I don't know why. I think it's just one of those things that you could do. I don't think it signifies anything, but I suppose it gives you a visual thing. You could make all your bases green, or do you see what I mean, if that's what you want. I think that's right. When a full review? That's a good question. What with everything going on at the moment, I'll be as quick as I possibly can, but this is quite deep. this is kind of cool. Oh, I seem to have lost the light. It's no good, is it? Where's that gone then? Oh dear. Oh well, never mind. I'll set the ribbon up so that it could be theremin mode with quantize. And theremin mode means I can play my pad here. It's quite hard to... Effectively, this patch probably isn't the best demonstration, but I can play chords and then have this as a top voice. Though it doesn't seem like there's any velocity on this, so you have to kind of figure out the balance between them yourself. I did have a list of patches actually that I was using for the previous, so maybe some of these will be. Oh yeah, let's have a look. We'll come back down here. There was some wave scanning. Adjusting the macros here. I can probably check. So edit waves. This is basically, I don't know if you'll be able to see this. This has got 5 of the slots are occupied with waves, and I believe the wave scanning, what it does is morph between those slots, so you can set each waveform in this block of 8 up to 8, and then using the macros or other you can scan through them. Hayes Anderson, you hear nothing new. Okay, that's fair enough. How new does something have to be before you're impressed? But there's that whole thing, isn't there, about if things are too new, we generally won't take them on board because they become a little bit too unfamiliar. Let's go to a couple of patches I created up here. Prim pad. This one, I've got the third oscillator. Is it the third oscillator? I can't remember. Yeah, third oscillator coming in. If I go to the macro over time, so that high harmonic is coming up there, and then I've got this. Because I've got that in the mutator, original pulse width modulation, which is one of these mutators. Yesterday is I thought we just had delay, reverb and post effects, but there are pre-effects here as well, which I didn't even spot. So we've got 2 assignable effects either side of the delay and the reverb, which is kind of good in terms of, and all of those parameters seem to be routable via the mod matrix, and therefore what was somebody else? What other modes does it offer? Oh, Ken, that's a question for Ken. Okay, any other questions? I like the sound, interface, block diagram buttons. Yeah, I will say it does feel quite intuitive, this. I know this is a sort of, I think it's quite ensonic. I think Ken pointed that out to me, this sort of notion that we've got the modules, and then because these are all rotaries, it's really easy to get to all of that and then page through if there are any more. And obviously this OLED with the waveform as well. The only thing I did find a few times is this knob feels like it does something not that it doesn't, but it's actually patch changes. So you might be kind of going, oh, what does that do? And then if you're editing a sound, it'll go away. But there's actually an edit lock mode, which is kind of interesting. But we've got dedicated filter controls. Anyway, let's try a couple more of the sounds that I came up with. Exit, I keep pressing save. That's not what I want, is it? This one sounds great, I think. This goth velocity. I haven't balanced any of the levels of these pads. Yeah, I got the feeling that sounds great there. The upper part not quite so good. If this was splittable or duo timbral, I know what I put up here. I just can't. I'm trying to figure out whether or not I could have all these key range changes, so that by the time I got up to here, the attack had changed and the mix of the oscillators, so it could sound all different. I hadn't got that far though, but the bottom blend on this is crazy, and I think we've basically just got 2 oscillators and a bit of ring mod. And what's the top oscillator do? Weird. I didn't even know it was doing that, but I guess it adds to the sound. And then ring mod. So if I come back one and then go back to the mix, and some noise. Well, I could take the reverb off actually, that's a fair point. I didn't have that much on. That's without the effects. Oh, there's a bit of compression. Still got a good girth to it, I would say. Let's have a look. Any other questions off? Yeah, I like this patch. It really is the one that sort of fired me up. Then I've got this thing called Glissy Fit. These are ones that I haven't had a chance to make anymore, but these are ones that were in the kind of preview video I did, like the world of everybody else in the world of YouTube. Oh yeah, I'm using LFO4, which I believe is set to something or other, I don't know. LFO4 is parameter 1, which on the post effects is chorus feedback, so I'm modulating this, and then LFO4 is sample and hold, so I'm getting this kind of random chorus feedback, which is just a really interesting sound, I think. I've got variants of these. This is one with an arpeggiator, where I'm using the arpeggiator. I could start bringing the ratchet. I think I've got a time delay on this. Actually, which reminds me, if I go back to the Goth Velocity, I think I was using filter 2. That's right, I've got a high pass filter with a massive amount of resonance, which is really poking that bottom end out of there. Anyway, let's have another look. That was that one. This was a big unison patch, I think. So I've got sawtooth and a square wave. The first two oscillators are a wave morphing with the ability to apply these 2 mutators per voice, and then the third one is just a fixed wave. So I'm using that if I go to the mix. Must be using those in that PWM. Yeah, now LFO3, so we go to LFO3. Maybe not. Maybe up. There are a couple of patches which are kind of interesting when you go into the oscillators. You can set the key tracking to be different on each one. And I think I've done that on maybe this sound. So yeah, 99%, 101% and 101%. So the D tube, so effectively over the whole keyboard, it sort of goes wonky. So I suppose it's a bit like an analog feel, which you can dial in at voice level, analog feel, whatever. But I just thought it's kind of an interesting, you can adjust the keyboard tracking of each oscillator. I've got some filters. I've got this band pass, which I believe this is a modelled filter of some boutique Eurorack. I don't remember what it is. I don't know if I even know actually, but it's got a real nice sound to it. And then you can set the drive. Let's see if I've got the drive. The drive is routing post filter, pre-filter. Very different character. I've got this very slow band pass modulation. What am I doing? Am I using anything on that? Not using anything on the other filter. And again, it's got that really nice driven pad. You can get similar sort of things on the Deep Mine, where you've got this like crunch that you can add, but this is a bit more interesting because the distortion is quite hot at the filter stage. This is another variant on this. And the other thing we can do is, which I think I know, these are the oscillators, you can send them into the filter. They're all 100% into the filter. I think maybe in my next patch. Yeah, I'm sending 50% of oscillator 1, 15% and 20%. So you can hear that much of the oscillators if I... This is bypassing the filter. I should look round, let's have a look. Will there be a 16 voice available? Can't possibly, I don't know. A 3-saw patch, please. Okay, we could probably do that. How are we doing for time? I probably need to think about action. There's 1 saw. These are all saw. So 3-saw patch. Maybe detune a little bit. get this, so that's left and right. I'm not close to the speakers, I don't know how much difference. So that's, I think that filter is just the straight ladder 12. We've got a ladder 24, and we got these a low pass gate's quite nice. Let me just add a bit of release to that. Sweetwater did a really long video of this where they go through this kind of quite methodically and sort of feature by feature. Might be worth checking that out. I'm not likely to do that. It's just not my thing. So there, I hope that's some help. 3 voice. Let's see what else. What other sounds? Those are the only sounds that I've really done. But so we could go back to some of the. We can go in 10s. I've yet to know what's going on with all of these things. I'm probably going to have to leave it there because we've got a show to do, and I suspect our guests will be showing up. But I hope, you know, I've answered at least 1 or 2 questions. I do keep having to turn around. Anyway, hope that was of some enjoyment. See you on my face in a minute. I'm just going to unplug. Hey, here I am. Okay. Right. Let me find my headphones. Yeah, 10 minutes to go. That's probably feels like I timed it reasonably well. Yeah, it's an interesting synth, I think. I mean, you know, to be fair, we don't often get new ones out, and people then sort of moan about the fact that it's not something completely new. But as we've said many times before, completely new we won't use because we're not really, generally speaking, I'm talking about humanity or the synth community perhaps, we're not ready for something that is totally radical. We just, you know, we're not, you know, it's not in our nature. Anyway, so let's have a look. So I think I'm here. I'm just waiting for, excuse me, we've got Gaz and Robbie to join us today. Everything should be working, at least I hope so. Obviously, we didn't have a live show last week. Last week we were in London for a launch. More of that will probably become apparent tomorrow. We went up to the Spitfire launch, which we are going to talk about today. We did have, if you haven't seen it, do check out the Imogen Heap thing. Synth Anatomy says in the chat room, do I have the new tech synth already? No, I haven't. There are a lot of polys around. I just don't think I'd actually find the time to look at it right now. I mean, it may be something in the future, but I'll be frank with you. Korg have been very unforthcoming with review units in the last couple of years, so I don't feel like I'm going to, you know, jump for that synth necessarily. I mean, I'm sure it's great fun and everything, but it's not as it's probably not as useful as some of the polys that are there around. Let's have a look. Have I fixed my CX15? No. Well, it's sort of fixed, but there's still some issues with it, or I think it's developed some new ones, so I haven't used it for a little while. Completely new. Oh, hold on. I need to put my computer glasses on because I can't read this properly. Hold on. I need to clean them first as well. Oh, the vagaries of old age and loss of eyesight. Right. I can't see. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. So, virtual animal usually complete digital. I don't think there's going to be virtual. Gosh, too many comments coming through. I've been keeping an eye on Giant Kurt's one mini. The same issue. Switches are dirty. I think it's a VCA issue on mine. I think there's just something going a bit clunky on that, but it's way better than it was. When is my solo album dropping? Well, I did do an EP last summer, and I did some more Friday Fun things, so I wouldn't say I've been completely unproductive. Sorry, nearly there. Won't be long. Just got up and pulled my headphones out. How would you say the Hydrosynth compares to the Summit? That's an interesting one. Those extra 16 voices do make quite a lot of difference, just in terms of what you could do, and the fact that it's bi-timbral. I would say maybe the Summit edges it ever so slightly in just the raw waves and oscillators sort of beef. But I think Hydrosynth has an awful lot going on. I mean, and let's not forget it's considerably less expensive. So that's a very different thing. Salmon are running here in the States, Nick, says Scott. I'd love to. I've never been salmon fishing, but I'm unlikely to get the time off to go to America to go salmon fishing. One day, maybe I could tie it in with a trip to Nam. I wonder if I suppose they're not going to be still running in January, but there you go. That's just the way it is. Okay. Right, so yeah, we're just waiting for Robbie and Gaz. Robbie hasn't been on for ages because he's been on tour, so I'm expecting there might be a little bit of technical shenanigans while he gets himself sorted out. That's inevitable, really. Let me just mute that. We don't want that one running. That's going to be too slow. Right. Any limit to how many Hydrosynth polychain together? I don't know. I know Ken Flux Pierce is probably in the chat room and might say something. Oh, he says yes too. So I could leave you to discuss that yourself. 60 voices is currently the max, he says. Okay. No salmon in Anaheim, says Jim. Ear Monkey Music. Yeah, well, I guess that's true. It'll have to be bass fishing, won't it? How many voices is the Hydra, says Azure Head. It is 8. Yeah. 8 with 3 oscillators per voice. I don't think there's a way to address them, split them and split them out. Well, there isn't. I mean, that's it. I think the thing is we've got to bear in mind and lots of people have said this actually, when they heard the prices of the Hydra, they're kind of going, oh, I thought that would be more expensive. So affordability is a big part of what they've done. They've found that kind of spot, which is, below the kind of £2,000 mark. I don't know what it's going to be in terms of UK pounds. I imagine it'll be similar in price to a Peak, maybe, which is about 1,000 UK. So it's 1,300 US, and the exchange rate is terrible at the moment. So it might, yeah. Okay. Du, 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 du. I'm just researching something that somebody put in. Oh. Okay, right. Okay. Native Instrument have just laid off a load of staff. Crikey. And reducing its headcount by 20%. Blimey. Wow, that is that's quite shocking. I suppose. Ooh, okay. Yes, Synth Anatomy says in the chat room, new platform. So it's yet another thing that's going to go subscription. Don't like that really, but hey, I think we'll probably have to. I'm going to put that one in the. Let me put that in the notes, because that's a big story. If that's true, good scoop there. Let me stick that up here somewhere. I've got that in the. So we'll put that in. So that's your story, is it? Wow. Okay.
Hello.
we have a Robbie. You're
Hello.
live, and I'm hearing myself quite loudly coming
What
back.
about now?
1 2. No,
Okay,
I'm not.
Let me sort this out. Why is that? Where's the volume for that then?
I'm not hearing. I think it's okay.
How's that?
Yeah, it should be all right. I think it gets a little more complicated when we've got three-way action, but we can try it out. Yeah.
It's coming out of 3 different places. Wait there. That's what the problem is.
Oh, is it?
Where's it coming out of?
I don't know. I'm
Okay,
not there.
try
Let me
that
just.
now.
I'll keep making some noises, and you can debug it.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, I've literally only just fired at the studio.
Yeah, well, I know you've been away. I really wanted to get you and BT on, but that
Yeah,
week
you know
when you
what?
said we're on, damn.
You know why it didn't? It just was like, it was just with bus. Every time there was like a good day to do it, we had shit Wi-Fi or something. But he's. I spoke to him last night. He said he'd come on any time.
Great. That sounds
So
good.
we just have to find a show that you think's would be a good show to have him on, and he'd be more than happy to come on.
Excellent. Yeah, I did meet him I met him at NAMM, and he kind of said, "Oh yeah, sure." And then I contacted him via his contact points, and it just didn't come to anything. I guess he was kind of
Yeah, he's trying to persuade me to come over to NAMM to hang around with him. So I'm trying to think of a reason to go to NAMM.
Right. Okay. Because it's not like you've got enough air travel in your life, right?
Yeah, gosh, if I'm off again. I've just come back from Canada this week, and I'm off again to Germany weekend, and I'm off to South America on Tuesday.
Crikey. Okay. Oh yeah. Well, we've got that here, which I did a little Q&A before the show.
Is Gaz coming on?
Yes, he is.
Oh yeah, that's
there he is. Look at that at the turn of 4 o'clock. There he is.
Oh,
awesome!
Sorry, I'm in a session actually. I've just taken.
You're in a session.
You've just sacked him off.
He's just gone for a walk.
Yeah, go for a walk. I've had enough of you.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh my blimey! Okay, let me just. I need.
He was very obliging, though.
That's very kind of him. He needed a break.
He did.
To be honest,
break from me.
I just realised I need to fire up the recorder. Because before the show I was messing around with the Hydrosynth, which I've got in the office.
So, my goodness, what a thing!
It is a thing. Well,
that's a bit of a surprise out of nowhere.
Well, we're going to talk about this, I guess. So
yeah, save it. Hold on one second. I'm just going to. I just need to get my backup recording going, and then
is everything okay? Levels and stuff okay from me?
Yeah, seems to be fine. We're all good.
Okay. Good.
Okay, smash him. Right, we could do a show and everything. It's probably going to run. Okay. Actually, I just need to step away for a second. I just realised I've got an urgent need,
Oh,
or one that will gradually become more urgent.
Yeah, make sure that mic is unattached. All right, Robbie.
Yeah, good. Thanks, sir.
Good.
We're going to see that film tomorrow night.
Yes, I'm quite excited about that.
I've heard a few people who went to see it rated it.
Oh, good. Everyone's wondering what film we're talking about.
Most people did actually say they thought it was a little bit long. That's the only thing I have heard levelled at it.
Okay, we'll take some sandwiches with
us.
us.
The course with him, isn't it?
Yeah. I took a rucksack once full of popcorn into
a rucksack.
Yeah.
What, so you could sell it while you're there?
It's just like I was trying to find a bag to smuggle it in, and I just thought, I'll just put it straight in the rucksack.
Oh, funny.
Yes. Yeah.
There he is.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's better. Get myself wired up again. Right way round. Oh God, I can never get these buds to just not be unsightly. Oh, there we go. There's gone. That's better. All right, standing by. I've got a glass of water and everything.
Oh dear, I'm going to have to unplug this phone. It's been unplugged and it's charging up and it's going to beep every... Oh, God.
Oh, it is, isn't it? That's annoying.
Yeah.
That's going to have to
That sounds like a design flaw.
It's going to have to happen overnight.
Right, okay. Here we go. Everybody ready?
Mm-hmm.
Stand by. Oh, let me make sure I've got everything ready this end. Yes, I've got that. Got that. Okay, here we go. Hello, everybody. I seem to have... There we go. I think my recording is now working again. I beg your pardon. Problem is I've got an external... you know what? Let's start that again. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sonic Talk, episode 588. Today, this is the Music Technology Podcast, recording live today at 4 p.m. It's a Music Technology Podcast. It happens every Wednesday, and we're talking about synthesizers, music production, software, all kinds of stuff to do with electronic music production, regular music production, the ecosystem around it, the instruments, the industry, all of that stuff. We want to say thank you very much to our friends over at Isotope who are supplying a prize for this week's show, which is a copy of Isotope's Neutron 3, which is a fantastic mixing plugin, very modern, and we're giving away the advanced version, which is there'll be a message about that a little bit later, so I do hope you can stick around for that. Anyway, let's say hello to our guests. We've actually got two today. I'm going to start over here with Mr. Robbie Bronneman. Robbie Bronneman, of course, international man of touring. He's been on the road with Howard Jones, and he's a studio guy. He also does a lot of soundtrack work, music production, all that kind of thing. I guess you haven't been doing a lot of that because you've been literally out of the country for as long as I can recall, or it seems that way. How are you?
I'm good, yeah. No, it was a long time because we did 2 months in America, and then we got back, and then we went to Japan, and then we got back, and then we went to Europe, and then we got back, and we went to Canada, and then we got South America. So it's kind of the run's nearly at its end. So
wow.
Yeah, been a busy summer. So in the summer we did a sort of joint tour with we had BT's band All Hail the Silence kind of as our special guests on tour.
Nice.
So Yeah, it was good. It was a synth fest, and BT came on stage and joined us for the songs he co-produced on the album, and yeah, and we all shared the same bus, so it was just an intense synth bonanza, and so much so that his wife introduced Synth Free Saturday, because we were just like, she was just getting bored to tears with all the talk.
BT's a very enthusiastic guy when it comes to that kind of thing.
Yeah,
and I imagine that that must have been great. So you guys were just, and I will say also, reports in from the new Howard Jones album, really a really back to form. It sounds like you've done a cracking job with that, and it's been very critically acclaimed, I believe.
Yeah, no, it's done really. Yeah, people love it. It's just a full-on synth album, so we kind of did a little bit of that on the last album, but the last album was lots of different styles. So people were just, much as they love all his other stuff, they just wanted him to get back to no holds barred drum machines and synths and,
forget all of that piano nonsense. We don't want any of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I suppose, yeah. I mean, it's interesting, but I mean, and the thing is, what you could have done one of two things there. You could have gone, oh well, okay, maybe I'll just sort of slow down a bit and do what I want to do. But rather than that, he's actually embraced it and gone really full on. So
there's no stop. There's no stopping him. Honestly, he'll do it till he drops. He loves it so much.
What's the name of the album? Just so you can plug it.
It's called Transform.
Right, that's right. Okay, I do thoroughly recommend
it. On vinyl as well.
On vinyl
very
as well.
Nice vinyl. Heavyweight vinyl. It's very nice.
Nice. Yeah. I'm looking forward to hearing more from you, Robbie. I know you probably have a lot to say about this week because we've actually got some news. Hey, guys.
Yeah, news.
Summer is,
the news.
It's bizarre, isn't it? It's like we hit September and suddenly. The weather turns rubbish, and we're back into synth news. And the thing is that's very interesting is September seems to be the new January. How are you guys? You're obviously bass player, producer. You're working on a session at the moment.
I am.
Thanks to your client for letting you take a break to do this.
That's nice. I live by a park, so it's quite nice. You can go and hang out by the lake, and good. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Glad to be here because interesting news, isn't there? Lots to talk about, so lots to get our teeth into. But it's kind of curious, isn't it? I guess it makes sense though for things to come out now, just kind of to be announced now, and then it means Christmas.
In time for Christmas.
You're not in I suppose. As opposed to getting lost in the NAMM traffic.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, Roland traditionally do their September the event. 909 Day. Is that tomorrow? What is the date today?
No,
it's not. It's the 5th tomorrow. I think.
Yeah.
Well, I do know because we went to London for a launch event last week where we also went to see Yoad, toured his studio, so there's content coming. We also went to see a guy who's got a beautiful collection of synthesizers. I've done. I was playing with the Memory Moog, which I've never played with before. So that's all more content that we got. But we did. There's a bunch of stuff coming from Roland, but nothing. We can't say anything about it yet, and I can't tell you anything. But it will be coming soon, and. There is more from all sorts of people at the moment. It feels like a real glut. And, of course, NobCon is this weekend. Jim, our reporter, will be there. So if you see him, he'll be sending some stuff in and there'll be plenty. So, full on.
The thing about there's a jam, isn't there? The NobCon jam. That's the thing I always get a bit envious about. They have like a big end of NobCon jam session, which I think all shows should have, I think.
Good idea, yeah. Well, it sounds like it's actually quite musically acceptable as well, because often these things can be a bit lackluster, shall we say, but it doesn't sound like that's what happens at NobCon. There are some good musos there. All right, well, shall we get straight in with in fact the first thing to happen this week is it's a new synth. I mean, we can't avoid that. The new Hydra synth from ASM, Ashen Sound Machines. I'll play a little bit of an intro video. This is Glenn Darcy, who's the lead designer.
Welcome to HydraSynth. I'm Glenn Darcy, Director of Product Development for Ashen Sound Machines, or ASM for short. This new synth is the brainchild of myself, Product Manager Dominic Au, and Director of Engineering Shinji Jun. We set out to make a synth that has a massively deep and flexible sound engine and unique performance controls like polyphonic aftertouch and a 4-octave ribbon controller. Woo-hoo. To cover all that this synth can do would take your typical 6-part Peter Jackson saga, and I'm not going to put you through that. In this video, I'm basically just going to cover all the main aspects, and in the future, I'll have more in-depth tutorials that really dig in deep. Fair warning, this video is going to be a talking video. If you want to hear sound examples, go to ashensoundmachines.com, check out the sound examples we have there, or better yet, go find a dealer that has one, try one out yourself.
Good intro. Glenn Darcy there. We actually interviewed him for Meet the Makers when he was with Arturia, so he's got pedigree. And the synth itself, I've actually got it here. It's on the workbench. I did a video yesterday. I must start asking this. When people say, would you like us to send you synth? I should ask, is the rest of the YouTube community getting it and releasing their videos on the same day, or am I going to be special? I mistakenly thought it would just be me, but everybody's like, Luke Pop's done a 50-minute video. Sweetwater did a 2-hour walkthrough. There's loads of it around. So yeah, good. But exciting stuff. I'm going to come to you, Robbie, first, because we haven't heard from you for so long.
Yeah.
New synth. It does seem quite different. It's a wave morphing synthesizer. It's got a lot of interesting stuff in there and uses kind of an edge sonic parameter access type thing where you hit the module and then you use that center section. It's quite intuitive to use. What are your initial thoughts and musings?
I'm glad that there's more synths coming out that just aren't analog. It's nice just to, that's why I got the Quantum this year, because I wanted to, just to kind of balance it all out. So, I think it looks great. It looks like it's really nicely designed. So it looks like an instrument that you will enjoy using. Yeah. The way it's laid out and the screens and everything. So that's something that really I'm really hot on, because it has to be something I really enjoy, interfacing with. So, and the price point on it, I think it's fantastic. It's fantastic. It looks for an instrument of that quality. So, I'm very excited to try that out. Haven't got any room for keyboards, so again, the desktop thing, that's fantastic.
I know, but the thing is, Robbie, it's got a poly aftertouch keyboard. You don't get the after or the ribbon. There's a desktop. The thing is, the price point is quite favourable.
I can use it with my Rolly, so but yeah. It does look like a lot of synth for the money, and something a bit different to what's in that kind of range.
Yeah, I think I was surprised when I heard the price. I was expecting to be a sort of upper 1,000 and something or $2,000 synth, like a lot are, but they've done a reasonable. I guess it's in peak territory rather than summer territory.
It's probably also going to be. People, would you buy something like a System 8 if you could buy that for pretty much not much, similar sort of money? It's kind of put an interesting spin in that kind of area.
Well, yeah, they've designed. The whole thing is, the parent company, Modeli, have been making stuff for other people, and they've for like 30 years. They've got a big factory in China, so they know how to make the stuff and they know how to do it and do it cost effectively. So they've just basically pulled a team together and go, okay, we're going to do that now, and they that's why it seems to be so good. But Gaz, it's exciting. Poly aftertouch.
Yeah. Hooray! Finally, I've been banging on about this for years. So I wonder, was Glenn headhunted from Arturia then? Because wasn't Glenn wasn't he really involved in the Matrix Brute?
He was, yeah. I think that was his baby.
So I thought this was quite interesting, especially that button array where you can get to all of the elements. I think is fantastic. Also, the module, something about the module which I think is terrific, and I'm sure I know that Robbie would appreciate this. The recessed controls on the back of the module is fantastic. It's very well thought out for people who've got kind of limited desk space. That really annoying problem of all the leads all sticking out the back. They're all recessed quite deeply. Have you seen the
No, I haven't.
Version?
I haven't opened the box yet, which is probably
right. So on the module version, sort of where all of the connectors are, they're like sort of like, gosh, recessed must be about 6 inches in. There's like a kind of it's almost like the top bit's like a shelf. So I think that's a really, really good design.
Well, it's rack mountable. That's why they've done that. So I think that you can take you can take the ends off and put rack ears in, so it will fit in a 19.
But presumably they're well placed. They could just hack the synth off and create a nice controller with the ribbon and the polyphonic aftertouch for other people to use.
Well, there's a thought. You've got to understand. Because basically, Most people, if they want high quality keyboards, go to FATAR. They'll boast about it having a FATAR. So there seems to be a real gap in the market for people making quality keyboards. I was talking to a manufacturer just the other day about this, and they said, well, there are ways you can get them, but what tends to happen is they tend to be tied to the factory. So it's like, if you want our keyboard, we'll build the whole thing for you, not just provide the keyboard. So sometimes, there's all these economic considerations that we perhaps don't realise what's going on behind the scenes, but it's fascinating
It
stuff.
sounds like they're in a good position to be able to offer something like that to the marketplace if they needed to.
Well, it's win-win all round for them by the sound of it, really, isn't it? It's a great, it's like, look what we can build and look what you could have if you use us to build your stuff. I mean, win-win.
I'd be curious to see if it will just support things like the Linstrument or the Seaboard straight away. Whether it's whether like the MPE support is there from the start. And it's just a question of plug and play. That would be quite interesting. That would feel like some sort of development as well. I don't know.
I don't know. I do
out.
know that there is a ton of CC mapping in there, so you could use the mod matrix to spit out CCs. So you could have an LFO that would send to a CC. So you can use it to modulate external CC. As far as I understand, I mean, I haven't, I've only really spent about 2 or 3 hours with it because it came on Friday. I came into work on Saturday, spent a couple of hours, and then I shot the video on Monday. So it's pretty much, I haven't had that much time playing with it.
Build quality? What do you think?
That's solid. Yeah, it feels. That's
solid.
One of the reasons why I thought it would be more expensive. Because it's chunky. It's funny, actually. It's a really chunky, nice, solid metallic and aluminium. And then the power supply is literally this big. It's tiny. It's absolutely microscopic.
Is it a funny voltage, or is it like quite a standard thing?
You know what? I'm going to go and find that out right now. Just give me 2 seconds. I will do some live check it out.
Yeah.
Let me
Good
see.
to know.
That's my
if it's
pet
gonna
hate,
be
having weird exotic power supplies.
Yeah, especially for international stuff. But yeah,
no, I can confirm it's just a 12 volt 1 milliamp. So that's all. So it's perfectly normal. Nothing unusual going on there. So yeah,
good. That's good.
Yeah, you approve.
So what's the name of they're called Ashen? What's the name of the company?
ASM, Ashen Sound Machines.
ASHUN
sound.
And
machines.
this is their launch. This is a new company, but based on, as you say, the company who've been manufacturing for years. But
yeah, I don't know kind of whether it's just been like, let's set up a new company, or I don't know the business details of it, but I know that
it's nice to see. It's nice to see a product like that just suddenly just like go da-da, it's here.
Yeah.
It's available, as opposed to here's a product, I'm going to now try and find a company to partner with, and it'll take 4 years probably before it ever comes out. And, it's nice to see things sort of popping up out of the ether, as it were.
Yeah.
Do you know when is it shipping, Nick? Do you know?
I think it's going to be November the 1st.
Wow.
Okay.
I believe. I think the production run starts now. I can't remember. I don't know if that's even information that I got from somewhere else or not. I can't recall. I think it's going to be in November, I believe, but I would have to double check that because I'm not fully up. I think if Ken Flux Pierce is around, because I know he was involved in some of the patch design and some of the tweaking of the synth engine. He was in the chat room earlier. He might be able to clarify that.
Okay. So straight away I was kind of thinking about UDO and their Super 6. It's an interesting. It's like that kind of $1 to $2 grand price point. It's been a little bit. There's not been that many things in there. There's either been stuff either cheaper or more expensive.
Well, there's been quite a lot. There's been $2 grand stuff. $2 grand. We've got the Rev 2. We've got the Rev 2. We've got the Summit. There's a $2 grand kind of point at which So there's.
And then you've got stuff like the Korg, haven't you? The Korg analog.
The Prologue.
The Prologue.
Prologue and just above that kind of price, and there's not really much else in that area.
Yeah, I suppose so. But I guess that's what these guys can make because they've got the economy of scale.
Right. Okay.
But yeah,
interesting.
It sounds pretty good so far. I mean, I need a bit more time with it. But yeah, it is pure DSP. There's no kind of like this is the analog filter. But it's got two filters.
But it kind of connects, though, doesn't it, with a general feeling that everyone's kind of got over the hump about analog, or rather over the hump about digital. It feels like that.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm
we've
sure
been so
that's the
catered
case.
for with
It can,
analog.
I mean, and it can sound great. And also, as lots of people have been saying, oh, hooray, something that's just not another one of those, you know. So it's a
Um,
bit different.
but there's no sampling capabilities. This is, you know,
No,
the waveforms that it comes with. It's kind of fixed. That there's no user
well, yeah,
waveforms.
I don't know if that's something that's likely to change. I don't know. I don't have any other information on that. There hasn't been anything that says yes, you can put user waveforms in there. No.
But there's quite a healthy amount of patch storage on there, though, isn't it? Was it something like 500?
5
or
banks of
five of
128. Yeah, so it's seven
yeah.
something, 7.5. Yeah, 7 something, 720.
Come on, chat room.
Yeah, 5 times 128 is going to be 500 plus
Yeah.
700, 700. So it's
Yeah.
700, 740. 5 eighths of 40. Yeah, there we go.
Okay,
God,
well
I worked that out without the aid of a calculator. How's that? That's pretty good going, I'd say. Yes. So we've got a review coming up at some point. I mean, it's crazy busy. There's so many releases going on, and we've got NobCon coming up. I mean, it's just all happening in this condensed window, and there will be more releases this week from various companies. I can guarantee that.
Yeah.
But it's coming. Oh, I was going to throw the Ashen Sound Machine website up because it just there it is. There it all is. Hydrosynth. So yeah, it's one of those launches that's been very well coordinated. So yeah, look forward to some of that, and I think it could be, you know, it's quite a good sounding synth. Okay, I should probably what's it, 20 past 4? Yeah, okay, let's do this one. So while we were in London, we went to the launch of this as well, which is the Barbican. This is big new product from Spitfire Audio, who are a great company, expanded, you know, they've got lots of resources. We went to Barbican where they put this do on. It was all very lovely. We watched the keynote speech, and so they've teamed up with the BBC Symphony Orchestra as a joint venture type of thing. I've got an interview which I'm waiting to post up with Christian and I forgot the name of the other chap. It's terrible of me. And they recorded this at Maida Vale. As we know, Maida Vale is going to be decommissioned, so this could be the last possible.
Crazy.
But the thing about this is the Symphony Orchestra, they work every day of the week pretty much, apart from Saturdays and Sundays probably. You know, they are always working, so it's like a band that have played together for years, but at an orchestral level. So these guys are very special. As with any symphony orchestra, they're generally, And I have to say, it sounded great. I'm not going to play the whole thing because you know it's easy to do. But there's some really good stuff there, and so they've taken. No, let me see what there are some key points. What is it? There 99 players, 55 instruments, 418 techniques, 20 signals, which are the mics, balances. So you've got room, and there was a really good piece written by. No, let me see if I can find him. Andy Blaney. Which is called Admiral Bembo. I wonder if this will play. And this was just dry. No external effects, just straight out of the DAW.
Wow.
And it, honestly, mind-blowing. I mean, I don't use a lot of this stuff because it's just not my world. But I'm guessing, Robbie, you know, film scores, whatever, you do a lot of that stuff. This is the sort of thing that will be right up your street.
Oh, I mean, I love the Spitfire stuff. I think there are like certain key companies, if you're involved in music technology, or you know, certain key companies like sample kind of based companies who are like sort of cream of the crop, and Spitfire to me are like right at the top of the tree. You know, they're like desert island kind of go-to for lots of things. I'm very excited by this. I mean, I do use orchestral stuff. I mean, I don't. The thing about them is that you have to put the investment in with all these things to kind of really get the best out of them. So I'm a little bit of a disadvantage because I don't score 100% of the time. So when I do score, I sort of have to G myself up into it and get up to speed, you know, because it's not quite the muscle memory of it being my everyday job all the time. But I mean, I certainly, having had loads of different libraries by loads of different people, I'm never disappointed by the Spitfire stuff. It's, you know. And they're such an expanding company, which is nice to see a British company doing so well.
Yeah, I mean they've with this one that they've really and this apparently they kept saying this is just the beginning, this is just the beginning of. So I'm guessing there must be loads of other stuff they've done with the BBC orchestra that hasn't even. So I mean there's sections, there's woodwind section, ensemble, there's strings, there's percussion, there's harp, there's brass. So it's the full. What they're thinking is this will be almost. I mean, I get the feeling that I'm not trying to denigrate this in any way, but I get the feeling they're trying to make this the definitive, almost the sort of general MIDI voice of an orchestra. So it becomes the de facto standard for people who are scoring and writing. They may break things out and do other stuff, but this would be the thing that if everybody's got it, then they can all collaborate and it'll all work really well. And one of the big things that they said is all the people on board, all the orchestra was on board. They sort of get it, and they were saying that obviously orchestras can be a bit reticent about sampling, but they were really into this. And part of that is because in theory this brings people through using sample stuff to actually recording an orchestra if they've got the budget for it. But from what I heard, honestly, it sounds so good. If I was a commissioning editor and they said, I need another 10 grand for a real orchestra, I might go, yeah, that sounds pretty good to me. Can you not stick with that? And so there is a.
I mean, it's incredible, isn't it? The real investment involved in doing libraries like this, because I know somebody who's doing something with them at the moment, and they said that probably take about 2 years to come out. With everything that goes on to get it exactly right. So if you think about the life, the sort of projection and the amount of investment to get a really, a really kind of adventurous, kind of ambitious library out there, it's a big risk, isn't it?
Yeah, 1 million plus samples, we were told. I mean, that's a lot of things to do. But he said the thing is, what they have, they've got all this kind of formula that they work with, because every time they do something, they can figure out how many orchestra hours or how many code hours it takes per instrument. So they've got all this calculation, so they can figure out how well they're doing in their trajectory, because it's these sort of ridiculously complex kind of structures that are very unique to the business of what they do. So they know how they're doing. And obviously they've got one thing that Christian was saying is they've got loads and loads of these coders that work all in house at their new premises, and all the coders are really creative as well, which is quite unique in terms of coding. So these people really sort of live it, and they're all inhabiting the same world. It's not like a kind of lot of coders. You tell them what you want, and they give you what they want. So if you describe it wrong, you're going to get the wrong thing, rather than somebody maybe going, "Oh, I've actually got a better idea. Maybe we should do this, and it will be great and creative." Those kind of interfaces between pure technology and creativity are quite rare, and it sounds like they've got that going on. So that's really going to be a big deal.
I have to say though, Nick, the BBC getting rid of Maida Vale is disgraceful. Really, absolutely disgraceful. That place is such a wonderful, I've been fortunate enough to have worked in there many times. It is a beautiful. It's an old ice rink originally, and actually
skating
the
rink.
central
That's right,
part. Where the orchestral room is, and there's also another big room as well, but the main room was where the kind of ice rink itself was, and then kind of around the outer edges are the other smaller rooms which are used for sort of radio sessions and various things like that. Obviously BBC and Beatles did a lot of the stuff there. It's just symbolic of this absolutely disgraceful thing that's happened at the BBC, which is just like this complete and utter kind of horrible corporate kind of thing, that what the BBC used to be is so not now. And to get rid of Maida Vale is disgraceful. I mean, really, the people who've pulled the trigger on that should be ashamed of themselves. This sort of thing would never happen in France, where they really value cultural
There'd
things.
be demonstrations on the street.
Oh man, they would. I'm so furious about it, and it is. I mean, you can see this. It's all the way through the BBC. The BBC has moved such into this horrible domain now. They'll give you all this kind of marketing speak and what reasons for it, and but ultimately, I think it's an absolute disgrace. I'm so furious about it, and I think whoever made that decision should be shot, and I would
Well-
gladly pull the trigger. Yeah.
Well, I think that's allegedly. I should probably say at this
Yeah.
point.
No.
There is actually also. I will say that there is a new purpose-built building being built to house the symphony orchestra and the recording needs for that. So I mean, yes, it won't have the heritage, but it may be tons better. You know, it may just have a real thing. Maybe the next generation. So let's not write it off too.
Exactly.
I don't know. No, I mean, the thing is about that place, though. I think when you have a space which is kind of imbued with that kind of history, I think it kind of it gives a sense of it makes you feel special being there, and I think that brings out certain performances, and actually the acoustics in there are so unique. It's a really great sounding space. All the different spaces are. It makes me sick in my belly to think that it's all going to be. Well, it's going to be bulldozed, I think, or turned into flats. It's
Yeah,
like,
well, I
come on,
expect
this is
so.
so typical
I mean,
thing
it's-
that happens in London.
It's interesting because I haven't been
grubby
out
money.
very far east. We went to do some visits right out to Brentwood, and it was quite interesting. As you go further out east from London, you could tell how much has been developed because all the land is so valuable that now what happens is it just goes up. So they knock all the 1-story or 2-story buildings down and are building multiple stories to accommodate more people. And it's part of the gentrification process of major
you've
cities.
got to cling
That's
on
just
to
Well,
culture.
sometimes, yeah. Well, I mean,
Dude,
yes.
there's no excuse. It's just greedy money people, and it's disgraceful. I'm sorry, I'm not
Okay.
going to ever forgive them for that.
Grr. Okay, well that's good. Let's now just take a short break and have a little word from our friends at Isotope, shall we? Why don't we do that? That's a good idea.
Presenting Neutron 3, the modern way to mix. Bring your workflow into the 21st century with 8 modern mixing tools, all at your fingertips in one mothership plugin. Starting a mix can take a while, but with the all-new Mix Assistant, Neutron can listen to your audio and quickly suggest a custom starting point for an individual track, or set levels for your entire mix. Shape sounds like never before with the new Sculptor module. Match audio to a target sonic profile and instantly sculpt it to sound more like itself or like something else completely. Reach out and touch your audio with Neutron's immersive controls and visualizations. Neutron 3 comes equipped with Visual Mixer, a tool to help you effortlessly manipulate the landscape of your mix. Neutron 3, the modern way to mix.
And of course, you can download a copy of Isotope Neutron 3 just by heading over to isotope.com, and we thoroughly recommend checking it out. And I will say we have a competition. We're looking for hashtags. You can win a copy of Neutron 3 Advanced, which is very generous of Isotope. We're looking for the hashtag Start Your Mix. That's one word, which is hashtag Start Your Mix, and the hashtag Neutron 3 to @Sonicstate and @Isotope Inc. That's a Twitter competition, so it's the hashtag Start Your Mix and the hashtag Neutron 3, all one word hashtags to @Sonicstate and @Isotope Inc. And if you do that, next week we'll be able to choose a winner from all the entries. Last week we had, or last show, because last week while we were in London for these launches, we published the Imogen Heap interview. How could I forget? Yeah, and that seems to have gone down really well. She's great, and I really appreciate that she gave us some time for that. And I sent her an approval video, and she said, "Oh, it's so long, I can't be bothered to watch it. I'm sure it's fine." So I'm sure it was fine, and people seem to say it went very well. But we have a winner for the last show, and that is somebody called Flatbird. That's @Schlandrian, and they've tweeted the necessary requisite hashtags. So if you want to get in touch, Flatbird, that's @Schlandrian, then we can put Isotope in touch with you, and you'll be able to claim your prize. Right, here we go. Let's have something else. This is the news. This is the latest in the you'll actually use range. It's like a I can't believe it's not range. I like the idea of it. It's kind of, I like to refer to a range by a phrase. This is 3 delays from Arturia. We've got the one that's a bit like the Memory Man, the one that's kind of like the 201, and then a sort of modern one which is much longer and filtery and got all sorts of. That's this guy. Got mid-side mode, all those things. You can pick all 3 of them up for $99. And from what I'm hearing, actually, in the comments on the story put on the site, you know, the people, oh, it's just GUI, it's just, and then people come back going, oh, actually, I've got this, and it's really good. So yeah, I mean, GUI and good. So that's all good, isn't it? I mean, I know there are lots of delay stuff, and you know, it's difficult to choose from which one. But I haven't tried these yet. I have got a code, but like Deja vu. What's the?
I was just because I was sitting in Gaz's kitchen on Monday or something, and I was saying about how I love the Valhalla's latest delay, you know, with all the different modes.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic, that delay. And I've always loved my go-to has always been for years and years and years is Echo Boy because of all the different models within there. And like Gaz was pointing out, you know, it's just relatively easy to code a basic delay in terms of what, you know, those kind of plugins. But there's obviously so much more to we were talking about the characteristic of different delays and what they bring. And yeah, it's just interesting because we were literally talking about how many delays does anyone need on Monday. But, you know, I think any delay that gives you a sonic creative sound that's different from something else is worth checking out. It's just like anything really, reverbs or anything. I think I've drawn the line at EQs and compressors now. I think I've got enough.
You got enough
to be sync a battleship. I don't think I'm particularly excited ever to find those. But creative plugins like this, I'm always interested to try.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, I've made a little video about this actually, about these videos, about these delays, and actually following on from what Robbie was saying, I was actually quite curious to see if I could match the sound of them using just sort of the built-in delays in Reverb in Cubase. And they have done a really good job of making them sound distinct from each other. And I think it's quite clever how they've just focused on three very different types of delays: a BBD, a tape, and this kind of like, you know, one that's really like an 80s digital delay, although you can make that sound quite pristine as well. One of the things that's quite nice, I think it's probably a little bit maybe learned from the Sound Toys approach, which is to put the primary controls up first and then to have like a little drop down menu that you can just open optionally, which gives you further controls. Nice to see envelope follower in there, which is really cool, and LFOs as well, which you can assign to practically every parameter. Also something which is really nice about them though is resizable GUI as well, so you can make it really nice. And a big problem I've got with a lot of plugins is just too small, fiddly little things. They're actually quite nice and they're relatively simple to operate, and they've done a really good job with the graphics. And I think the graphics is like a massive part of this, though, because I think it does kind of seduce you a little bit into the, you know, into it being like certainly the 201.
Well, it's the next best thing to having some hardware that looks a certain way, I suppose, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, we've all, you know, that's the thing. The Valhalla stuff, I mean, it sounds great, but I mean, it looks fairly utilitarian. There's not much art in it. It's just, but it sounds great.
I love that.
Yeah, I know.
That.
Well, you don't want any fluff, do you, on any of your stuff?
I just love this kind of simplicity. It's like a jump for joy when the people who make that circle synth just brought out that new bass synth. I don't know if you've seen that, because they it's like amazing bass synth, but it's got that really simple simple interface.
Right.
So that I love. Yeah.
One thing should mention though is that all our Arturia releases are NKS compatible. So if you've got a machine or
that's
one of the
actually
kind of
that's a valid point. That is quite useful.
Like say that little. I've recently got like one of the Complete Control M32s just for a little tiny sort of just little one for the desktop. It's already pre-mapped and ready to go, and because there's relatively few parameters, it means that sort of thing is really easy to find what you need to do to adjust in real time. And some pretty cool things like on the 201, for instance, when you open up the extra panel, there are some controls which pertain to the motors, for instance, and sort of how fast it will change between the delay factor.
I mean, I take all of that. It's great, but honestly, who on earth has got time to get into that? I mean, would it make?
Oh, no, it's
I
easy.
suppose it makes
No,
a difference.
It's
but
easy. It's
Yeah,
easy.
okay,
I mean,
fair
but again,
enough.
if you've just got that on the control knob, for instance, it's really fun because it means you can just do like a kind of a delay time and just it's quite a cool special effect actually. I
Okay,
think that
all
one,
right. I take
you
that
know,
back.
I
take
know
that
what you
back.
mean. I know with a lot of these plugins, you get all this kind of macro little, so you can go right in and sort of fine tune all the details. I think actually, to be fair, with these Arturia delays, though, I think they've chosen. The amount of things you can change on them, there's not huge amounts of parameters on them, to be fair. And what they've put in there, I think, is actually quite musical. But there is a decent solidity to it. I was least impressed, I think, with the Memory Man one. It was good, but the 201 though, especially good, and the actual what it has got better than I've heard on any other 201 emulation is the spring reverb, or the way that the spring kind of really. There's a particular sound to the way that the echo sound going into the spring on a 201 on the real unit, and this does a pretty good job of that, I think. The springs are not always convincing, but this is a good one.
Fair enough. I'll have to ask. I'll have to ask Jim. Jim is going to be Ear Monkey Music. He's going to be covering KnobCon for us, and I know he's got a 201. So maybe we should get him to do a comparison at some point, just out of interest.
That would be good.
That would be interesting.
Can I enter to say something before I forget? Because it's not. I don't know if you've covered it, but literally last night I was jumping up and down because I saw that TC Electronica bought out Finalizer software, new mastering software, which has got all the System 6000 algorithms in on it.
Okay.
And it's exactly what I've been waiting for, because I've been holding on to my. I've been holding on to my power core for bloody years, and it's just about hanging on for dear life. So it's at $99 at the moment. This software, it's a full suite of like all the System 6000 stuff.
The full suite for $99?
Yeah, it's a standalone program, and it does matching with commercial releases and all sorts of stuff. It's like a new.
I'm just looking to see if we can find that. Oh, where's that then? Is that mastering tools and plugins?
Second bit of news at the top. There's the little dots.
Okay.
Oh yeah, VS3 native there. That was the.
After this, that second dot along, after coming up, the next bit of news.
You just had it on there.
What have I done? I don't know what I'm doing. It's gone.
Second bit of news.
In charge of a car.
Second bit of news.
So next to the little dots. You're at the top.
Go production. You had it then. Go production.
There we go. Okay. Finalizer. Click on it. Finalizer. You had it. You had it at the top.
There, the man.
VS3 right. Okay.
Native.
No. You got to go back to the main page.
All right, I'm going back to the main page.
Right, and then look at the top of the screen. Just wait for that reverb to disappear, that Hall of Fame, and then that
next thing there. That's it. Right, got ya. Robbie,
cool.
I think scrolling the carousel to the right story would have been the words I would have been able to respond to.
Yeah, sorry. But anyway, yeah, I'm very super excited. I mean, I'm a massive fan of Ozone as well, but there's certain workflows and things within, and there's a brand new
on that.
There's a brand new algorithm, loudness algorithm in here, which they say can automatically help you get loudness levels matched up for all the different formats.
Does it work with your nifty little your little kind of meter that you've got? That does it?
It's not a plugin. It's an app. You have to put the tracks in after.
Ah, okay. Right.
Oh, it's an app.
So that's a standalone. I think you always got to be really careful when you put the words "sound like a hit" together, because there's just a sort of HIT with an S before it is not good scan. I just would want to point that out. I should put this out because, I know I'm rambling a little bit, and I know there was a lot of news, but this is really interesting. This just Synth Anatomy in the chat room just mentioned this, that Native Instruments have laid off 20% of its workforce to reorganise the company.
That's weird.
This is a real shock. This is kind of. I haven't had a chance to. Hold on. This obviously sourced on CDM. We'll check his as well as Peter Kearns, head of Fish. Yeah, this is kind of a big deal, because we thought Native Instruments were unassailable in terms of their market position.
They had the biggest investment, didn't they, in music technology? I think history, didn't they? Recently, was it like last year? 50 million. euros. There was
Oh,
something
yeah,
like
was
that,
it
wasn't
Sony or something got involved? Something,
Enormous,
wasn't it?
enormous investment into them. So this
Well,
is kind of
that's your answer then, isn't it? They probably are now starting to dictate what needs to happen. I guess. I don't know.
boo.
Ouch.
Yeah, ouch. Obviously, our hearts go out to any of the engineers or anybody who's been laid off, but it's going to mean people looking for work, I suppose. It's not the best thing. Apparently, though, Behringer said we're hiring. So, in fact, there's another bit of news. I should probably put that up there, shouldn't I? Because this Behringer have actually hired the MS-20 original designer. I'm going to try and pronounce this, Hiroaki Nishijima, to head up their Tokyo flagship synth office. And he actually said, these days it's difficult for in current Japanese companies to create the types of synths that I used to develop. Nishijima added, that's why I joined Behringer. So lots of things shifting around at the moment. Then we're going to see all sorts of stuff going down.
Because they say they want to make brand new designs in that article, don't they?
Yeah,
which
Well, that's
interesting.
encouraging. Yeah, that's very encouraging. That's good.
Really good.
Bob Swan in the chat room says subscription incoming, which as they're restructuring now, I would imagine investors are probably going, yeah, we need to be in subscription. And much as I hate to see that, it seems like that's the way everything's going, and it's just because of financial planning and all those things. And the thing I don't like about subscriptions is people get kind of not coerced, but they want to use something, so they buy into it, and then there's probably about, I don't know what the percentage is, the percentage of people who buy a subscription then completely forgotten they've got it, and it just goes forever and ever and ever, and they end up spending, it's like I've discovered that I've been subscribing to a service that I'd forgotten about, and over the last 3 years I've probably spent 500 quid that I wouldn't have spent. I didn't need to, and I think there's that you don't get the opportunity to kind of pick and choose. It assumes you want to use it all the time, and so you get, and quite often it's quite hard to turn that off and on again. I don't like that.
I recently had that with Splice. I had it for a while, and I didn't get on with it because there's other things I use. And I've asked 3 times to turn it off, to try and turn it off, and it's just like you have to jump through hoops. There's nothing in the app to say unsubscribe. Multiple emails. It's the same with like phone, like iOS apps you get.
Oh man, not just them.
$2 subscription to Karen News, and then you forget about it, and then you look at your bank statement, it's like all this stuff been hemorrhaging out for like a year.
I've got New York Times. I've got an Android New York Times subscription, which is £4 a month, which I like to support independent news because we are one, but I looked into how do I unsubscribe, and literally the only way you can do it is by phoning a US number and telling them that you want to do it. It's just like, what?
Yeah, no,
that's
it
ludicrous.
shouldn't be allowed. There should be a criteria. There should be a button to unsubscribe for everything.
Yeah, okay. Loads of Are You Sures and that and all of that sort of thing. But yeah, it needs to be. I agree, and it just feels like it's heading in the wrong direction. Some of it. Don't get me wrong.
You find out you're doing all these things for your kids with like inadvertently bought apps or things that have got subscriptions added to them. It's like it's too nebulous, the whole thing.
Yeah, we don't like it. Yeah. We don't like it. Down with subscriptions. I want a phone. I want it with the same with my mobile phone. If I don't use it, I just want to pay it afterwards. Yeah, let's do that now. Let's not do it.
The thing that my feeling with subscriptions though is, I am subscribing to Apple Music now, which I wasn't subscribing to a streaming channel as a streaming service for a while, but I did from about 2009 to about 2015 subscribe to Napster, and then when I stopped subscribing, and then you lose access to all of the albums that you currently had access to, and there is this just kind of feeling, this empty feeling,
loss,
and that the thing about ownership, that tangible sense of actually investing into something and owning something, you just don't have it. And it is, environmentally, I guess it's good not to have physical objects. However, that just,
but it's not the musician that's getting paid. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Not generally speaking. So yeah, there's too many others
to satisfy the shareholders. Boo.
Boo! Boo!
Boo! Oh, God.
Extinction Rebellion, down with capitalism. No, we're not quite that far yet. But yeah, I take your point. I mean, we try and keep away from political matters on the show where we can, but sometimes the movement in that direction, yeah, sure. I mean, and to be fair, I wish maybe Sonicstate had done a subscription thing years and years back, so then we wouldn't have to be constantly. I mean, there is a positive side to it, which is you get loads of new features that because they're funded, they can be thought of in advance. They can be financially paid for. The research and stuff all gets brought into the model. So quite often it can work positively, but generally speaking, it's not the case. Anyway, let's get on to something else. Now things are hotting up. Oh yeah, we've covered those one. Oh yeah, let's have a look at this. This is neat.
Meet MIDI Hub, the next generation MIDI processor and router. By default, it acts as a 4x4 MIDI interface. But the real magic happens once you start laying down your own pipelines using the MIDI Hub editor. By combining different pipes, sort of MIDI effects, you can set up MIDI Hub to process MIDI messages in tons of useful and creative ways. You can even MIDI map pipe parameters or switch the active preset on the fly. The best part is, once your presets are stored, you can use MIDI Hub completely standalone. For example, you can play chords utilizing...
Oh yeah, sorry, I was a bit mesmerised there. I was thinking, God, I wonder what's doing the bass sound in that. It sounds amazing. I was looking at it and I was trying to think, I wonder which one of that is. Really cool, actually, this. I think this is a really cool device. This is by, what are they called? MIDI Hub by Blowcast, aren't they? Yes, I think we've got the page here. It's $100, so it's comparable. And it's also got a USB connection, so I'm guessing it works as a MIDI I/O. But that notion, because we use MIDI transformers quite a lot here. What's it? Bohm's MIDI translator, really good, and they've got a standalone thing, but it's more expensive and more fully featured. To be fair, it has Wi-Fi MIDI and all those things, and it just this looks like the sort of thing that everybody should have. Gaz, this looks just the sort of thing that you kind of go, oh yeah, don't know what I'm going to use it for yet, but I mean, you can do things like set splits up on keyboards, play chords across multiple, lots of really cool and interesting things.
You can do like some MIDI note filtering as well, so so everything's locked into key and all sorts of things like that. I mean, this does look really cool. I wasn't quite sure though with the little button when you change the active presets. Does it use the little indicator lights on the front to tell you which one you're on? That was the bit I was a bit unsure about, because obviously using it away from a computer is a big part of it. So yeah, I was that's what I was curious about, because if it's easy to tell where your presets are, because like the amount of things that it can do,
there's lights flashing on there.
So yeah, so I wonder, because it's like the lights can tell you like if there's an in and out, but I'm wondering when you push the button if there's a way of indicating. Yeah,
it looks like what's going on there is it's possible. I can't tell you for sure though. I'm not being an expert, but it's kind of useful utility by the sound of things.
Yeah, and it's pretty good price as well. I think it's about 150. I don't know.
I'm getting messages
somewhere in the region of, but yeah, decent, good, and nice. It hasn't got any. I don't think it's got any host. It doesn't USB host though, does it? Which I think is a bit of a shame.
No, I don't think so. It's just MIDI. There's. I'm just trying to think. I almost let something slip there about MIDI host mode in a product I've recently seen, but you'll have to wait till tomorrow to find that out. I think so. That's not going to work. Robbie, is this the sort of thing that you need in your life?
Yeah, I tell you why. Because we were just talking about it the other day, because we're going off to South America and the tour. It's a smaller tour, just me and Howard and front of house and a couple of people. So we put together like a little satellite rig, just to kind of not be to cull from our main rigs in America and Europe. And then I was like, oh yeah, we're just going to use like this. We're going to use this nice little radial 2-channel DI for Howard's main stage rig, USB DI thing. And then of course I realised that one of the key reasons we use the iConnect audio interfaces is they've got that really good MIDI filter, all those MIDI capabilities built into the audio interface. And we have this terrible problem with Howard's Korg RK keytars that they endlessly send out clock. You can't turn it off, and it totally fucks up. It totally messes up all the main stage, and it tries to clock main stage to this clock, and everything goes to shit. And so the only way we found to get rid of it is to filter it out within the iConnect. So I was like, great, we're going to use this really simple solution. I was like, oh, now I've got to lug an iConnect to just for that one feature. So something like this, I think, probably the sort of thing everyone should have available for those sort of annoying little things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like one of those things. I mean, we went to Yoad's studio on Friday morning in London. Honestly, we've never met in real life. It was one of those really weird moments because we've done this thing. I mean, we've both met in real life, but Yoad's been on the show for quite some time. We went to his place. It is amazing. I mean, it looks amazing in the videos, but when you're there, it's like, crikey, this is proper. And he's got this incredibly complicated MIDI. He's got 48 MIDI ports that feeds everything. As you know, said he plays everything all at once, and it all just comes out of Logic. And then he's got all these editors set up. We did a video on this. I'm looking forward to that. But it sounds like that's something that he could probably use in line a few times to filter stuff out. Yeah, that would be that's it. And I have to say, he was playing some mixes that he did, and I knew he was kind of, you know, a professional mixer, but his mixes sounded really, really good. I mean, I haven't heard mixes that good for a really long time. They were just like, good grief. I mean, it was on a set of those massive ATC SCM 100s, which sound in his room. It's just, yeah, I look forward to that. We did a studio tour with him. Honestly, I mean, just was playing mixes of stuff, and it was like, a lot of it was that sort of very modern minimalist with very little chords and stuff, and all about the vocal and the incidental stuff and the beat, and it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But I just wanted to throw that'll be coming up soon at some point in the future. So yeah, but yeah, you could get this from Blowcast, right? I just need to minimize that video. Where is it? MIDI Hub. I think I just clicked on an ad by mistake. MIDI Hub. Let's just find the page for it. Yeah, so it's blowcast.io, and you can buy. And it's actually on pre-order, which is interesting. So they were looking to try and raise, 10,000 euros to build this thing up, and they've raised 75,000 euros. So it's like 707. That's another 10% more. When I researched this in the notes earlier, I said they were 767% funded, and now they're 776% funded. So yeah, it's going up all the time. So do check that out. Yeah. Good Lord, I think we might be at the end. I haven't got anything else to add. What does that? I suppose that means we've finished the show. Has anyone got anything they want to plug or to bring up that we haven't covered? I mean, it's 5 o'clock.
Endless stuff is happening, which is really cool. Has
it come out of beta?
No,
not yet. Okay, but
it's
still.
Just yeah, but I mean, it's just more and more people jumping on board. Beardy Man and Jamie Little have been jamming together on it, and it's just I think it's just really exciting, and I know that many.
God, I imagine wouldn't they just clear the room? I mean, if Jamie Liddell or Beardy Man came in, I'd just go, no, that idea I had is rubbish. You just carry on, chap.
But also, Imogen Heap, she's been jamming on it too.
Yeah. So, well, she was really excited by it. Yeah, she mentioned it in the interview. That's right. She was very excited and complimentary about it.
So I think just definitely check it out if you haven't, though, because I think
I've only got an Android phone. That's my problem at the moment. I can't, and I'm not going iOS just for that, sadly.
No.
But
okay, but
I was going to say that synth by FAW, that sub synth, really worth checking out.
FAW sub synth. Let's have a look. FAW Sublab.
Sublab is brilliant.
Let's have a look.
Brilliant.
Hardest hitting sub bass every time. Oh yeah. Well, it reminds me. Actually, that reminds me a little bit of the soft tube one, Monument.
Yeah, but it's but it does all that stuff of like analysing the notes and putting the frequencies in when so you don't get any bottoming out and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, interesting.
So it's really good. It's really, really good. Really worth it.
Okay, I will check that out.
And it's nice and simple. Look at that lovely, simple interface.
I can see a fairly simple interface there. Oh, well, okay, look, here we go. I'm going to play, just for you, I'm going to play a bit of the video.
Hey, so you want to learn more about Sublab? Instead of the walkthrough video, I'm going to jump right into showing you how to create a bass line identical to the one in the Schoolboy Q track, Floating.
Maybe get a mic next time.
Onto the bass. In order to recreate this, I'm selecting a sawtooth.
Oh, sorry, I can't watch that. That's really discomforting. Right. Yeah, but people can watch that in their own time if they go over to Future Audio Workshop. That's just too much room for me.
Alone track.
Yeah, wow, that was roomy. Okay, well, so yes, what's coming up? We've got plenty of stuff coming up. We've got a lot of videos that's coming out tomorrow and Friday, which I can't tell you about. Obviously, check out the Hydrasynth stuff that we've done. There'll be a review coming about that soon. It's going to be an insanely busy September, and like I say, it seems Roland sort of have moved everybody to September, and they made that they've made a whole trend, which is kind of cool in a lot of ways. So, chaps, thank you so much for joining us. Robbie, it's been a pleasure to have you. Maybe we can do that again in another year or so, or sooner, hopefully.
As I say, let's. As I say, because BT, we tried to do it in the summer. He really wants to come on the show, so we'll find a time and some. He gets, like you said, he gets very excited, and he always says you're going to die after everything. He goes, "Oh man, you're going to die," because he gets so excited about everything. So let's find some topics that will be kind of excitable topics.
Well, it seems like there will be some coming pretty soon and probably ongoing. So we seem to be back in the flow of music technology. And once again, our condolences go out to any of those native instruments people that have been affected, because that's never a good thing. Those 20% redundancies in our niche is kind of quite dramatic. So, and anyway, Gaz, thank you for joining us as well. It's a pleasure to have you. I've got content out.
One little thing to show. I got it for video editing, but it's called a little Shuttle Express. I mean, I think the Shuttle Pro's been out for ages.
Yeah, we got one of those.
I think these things they're not new. But what I've been finding is brilliant. Yeah, years. But I'm using it for controlling zooming and time. Just in Cubase, I'm using it for zoom and timeline controls, and for that purpose, it's absolutely great. What it is that makes it good, I think, is that when you turn the sprung shuttle, there's 7 different configurable zones around the outside. And what's quite good is if you set the outer zones, I've got it to zoom like 100% out if I just turn it all away, and it'll just so it'll zoom. Or if you only just turn it slightly, you can have it zoom.
That's really handy.
But then if I turn it all the way to the right, I zoom into 5 milliseconds to wherever the playhead is as well. Just like so like for when you want to get like kind of zero crossing sample level. So the fact that you can set the like something like Cubase allows for lots of actually, and I've done it too in Studio One as well. I just thought it was a cool little tip because they're quite cheap, but I think timeline manipulation, for editing purposes, zooming and that sort of thing, can sometimes be a real kind of I tend to find that from the workflow point of view, it's actually perfect. And I went for the simpler one just because I think actually, rather than to negotiate loads of buttons, remember what's what, I've got it doing
workflow
really
control. It's everything. That's one thing that we got from Yoad. In fact, I want to bring that up. He's got one of those, which I think we introduced him to that.
What's
in one
that?
Of the, it's just a really nice quality rotary encoder and a couple of switches. And what it does is it just allows you hover your mouse over any knob on the screen, cool. and he just said it completely changes the relationship that you have with things like EQ, because you can just kind of go, where's that? And he says it's absolutely. I mean, it's expensive, but it's absolutely.
There's another one of those, isn't there?
Is there?
There's another one of those which has got like 5 coloured arcade buttons on it as well. I can't remember who makes that. With a knob that hovers. It's good. It's a good thing.
Right. Yeah. I've just retired my CMC Steinberg controllers after good few years of
Did you have
sterling
like
service.
a tearful, a short but tearful ceremony?
I'm really sad about it, but the one bit that I am missing really is the AI knob. So I'm very keen. I would love that. Do you know how much it is? That wooden one.
Yeah, it's really expensive. It is expensive.
Oh, I couldn't go
200
to that.
200 euros. Because it's wood. 200 euros, Robbie.
Oh God, I couldn't do it.
200 euros of wood. There you go.
Some wood.
It sends shivers down my spine.
Oh, never mind. You could always paint it black or cover it in full mica.
The one with the arcade knobs, that's right on my street.
Yeah, I don't know that one. Oh, anyway, well, thanks everybody. It was really good fun, and it's great to be back with a lot of news. And I think it's going to be a busy year as we head up into the shows. Obviously, NobCon this weekend. Stay tuned. We're going to have incoming from Jim there, and we've also after that Synthfest in October. I don't know if there's any more stuff. Oh yeah, SoundMit as well. I think we've got Ed going to SoundMit, which is in Turin. We should have some news about some coupons. I think we've got some discount codes for that as well if you're thinking of heading over. But anyway, that's it. Thank you so much, guys. It was great fun. We'll see you all next week. Don't forget to check out the details in the show notes for the isotope competition. Actually, I could do that quickly again, shouldn't I, before I go there? Yes, if you want to enter the competition to win Neutron 3, hashtag start your mix, the hashtag Neutron 3 to @Sonicstate and @Isotope Inc. That's what we're looking for. Okay, folks. We could say goodbye and wave off into the sunset. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. It's been great fun as ever. See you next time. Bye-bye now.